Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Accechi vattang kyaga nirasang visukha saritana sandati chinnang vattang na vattati ese vanto dukkhassa. Dear listeners, the above stanza is the theme of today's sermon. That is, Accechi vattang kyaga nirasang. The whirlpool he cut off and reached the desireless. Sukha sarita nasandati. Streams dried up, flow no more. Chindang vattang navattati. The whirlpool cut off, whirls no more. Esevanto dukkhasa. This itself is suffering's end. So, he cut off the whirlpool of vertex. That is to say, the whirling around between consciousness, cognition, and name and form has been cut off. Thereby, he reached the desireless Kyaga Nirasa. The current of water is dried up and flows no more. The whirlpool thus cut off no more whirls, and this itself is the end of suffering. Dear listeners, once we think about a whirlpool in an ocean, in the normal way, ocean is very calm. But I'm in the middle ocean, not in the beaches. But sometimes some water flows try to go against to the ocean. So once they try to go against to the ocean, that makes a whirlpool. Then when a whirlpool creates in an ocean, in that time we can say, here is the whirlpool, here is the whirlpool, here is there, that is here, like that way. Unless when we look at to the entire ocean in upside from the sky, we just can see just ocean. We can't show here, 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 can't. But once a whirlpool is there, we can say, oh, here's the whirlpool, here's the whirlpool, here and there, like that way. We can divide, we can show a duality. Like the same way, the world is, life is impermanent, caused to suffer and stress, and no self. But the all beings try to go against it. They have an idea as permanent for impermanent things. They have an idea as pleasure in in, in stressful things. They have an idea of as self for non-self things. Because of this ignorance, because of this unknowing, they try to go against to the world. When they try to go against to the world, they have to face to the suffering and stress. The whirlpool is suffering and stress. Once they become a whirlpool, once creates a whirlpool, then he's in a position to take all objects as things, here and there, he and me, they and we. All kind of duality creates in a whirlpool, creates in once we try to take the things who are impermanent as permanent, suffering as pleasant, as pleasure, non-self as self. Because of that, we have to face this. But once we understand, uh, because of this whirlpool, then you have the linguistic patterns as he and me, you and she, you and they, all kind of dualities. And there is a actual thing, there is actual sound, there is actual things are there. Those arise because of the whirlpool. But once he understands, this whirlpool creates because of going against to the nature. So then he get idea too. I will not go against to it. I'll accept the impermanence as impermanent, suffering as suffering, non-self as non-self. Once he understands this properly, the whirlpool will not whir again. It will become calm. Once it becomes calm, there is no anymore dualities, conceivings. So that's why Lord Buddha has preached. The Arahant is cut off the whirlpool. Whirlpool mean take the world as actual world and I'm living in the actual world. That is called whirlpool. That concept is like a whirlpool. And reach the desireless. When once he reached to desirelessness, the streams dried up. What are the streams? The streams of sensual pleasures, streams of concept of existing, streams of ignorance as taking objects as things. The whirlpool cut off, worlds no more. This itself is suffering's end. I'll tell you a small meditation trick to use in your day-to-day life. Usually, I use this trick on while I'm sleeping. Before while I'm sleeping, I'm using this meditation method. How? Once you breathe in, you can insight the reality. The mind created duality as, oh, now you can try while closing your eyes. Once you breathe in, your mind shows you, oh, here's the air, here's the here's the breath, and here's the nose, the inside of the nose. Here's the breath, here's the nose. Like that, the mind is creating this duality. Once you breathe out, also you can understand, oh, breathe out and nose. Once you practice this again and again, you can understand. Once you insight as air and nose, that also a mind and thought. Once you look at the breath, you're dividing it as I'm breathing, but it's actually a mind and thought. I'm breathing. After your breath, mind tells you I'm breathing. Actually, you are not experiencing the real experience. You always, once you conceive something, that is a thought what arised after that actual experience. So once you breathe in, then you can understand it's mind and thought and mind. I'm breathing, it's a thought, and we have an idea. I am feeling, that is the mind. Once you look at this duality again and again, you will properly understand the breathing means just an experience, just an understanding, just a cognition. Breathe out also means just a cognition. So in this way, you can compare the all kind of ideas to this. Once you hear something, it's sound and ear. Once you see something, visual and eye. It shows the duality which creates by the mind, not the actual duality. Mind, once you look at your phone, mind tells you this is the phone. So that is the visual. And again, mind creates, and I'm looking by my eyes. That is the eye. Once you look at this conceiving, you may understand that this is just a cognition of why, just cognizing, just feeling. So, in this way, you can understand the stilling of all preparations. That is the 100% awareness. I think you all meditated in this time, how I said. However, now, one day, once we talk about the consciousness, the cognition, vijnana, people are thinking there's an actual and established consciousness. The cognition is existing. But it is a wrong idea. Once some fire is there, if that fire burn with the grass, we see it grass fire. If that fire burn with the oil, it is a oil fire. Something burn with the trees, it's be called wildfire. Because each and every time fire has a fuel. Without a fuel, there is no fire. Like that, without a cause, there is no any cognition. There is no any understanding. So as an addition of eye and visual, there's like the consciousness in eye. With the addition of ear and sound, there's the cognition of ear. Then one day some person asked from the Lord Buddha, is there when someone liberated in your dispensation, in your Buddha Sasana, what will happen to him? Will he exist forever? Or will he vanish his own self? What will happen? The Lord Buddha has proclaimed the both are wrong. Once an oil, once a fire of oil lamp extinguished by the by its own way, by itself, because why? The oil is finished, so the fire also finished. Once the fire extinguished, Can you say the fire go to upside, or fire goes to downside, or fire go to left or right side? You can't say like that. Because why? Fire has vanished because the oil is finished, cause is finished. So effect also finish. Like the same manner, once the ignorance ceased, so there is, we can't say where it goes. There is nothing to take as a soul, take as a consciousness. The cognitions always arise because of conditions, causes. If there's no causes, there is no effects. So one day, once Lord Buddha attained the Buddhahood in his first times, a Brahma from a Brahma world has come to Lord Buddha and asked and invited him to tell the tell the Dhamma to the entire world. So in this time, Lord Buddha has thinking has been thinking. There is two things which is most hard to understand for normal ordinary people. There are, first thing is the law of dependent arising. Second thing is etang santang etang panitang yadidang sabba sankhara samato sabupati patinissakko tanhakkayo virago nirodho nibbana. Second thing is the nibbana. What is nibbana? First thing is very hard to understand, the cause and effect, law of cause and effect. The second thing is very hard to understand, the nibbana. This is peaceful, this is excellent, namely the stilling of all preparations, the relinquishment of all assets, the destruction of craving, detachment, cessation, extinction. That is nibbana. Once we talk about the dependent origination, because of this ignorance, you're taking all kind of objects as actual things, the visuals, sounds, tastes, everything. But those everything is just some objects which comes to your senses, eye or ear or nose or tongue or body or mind. And if you think there ain't really existing something or there is no something, it also a thought and mind. Because always we are living in the present moment. We are always living in here and now. We can't be in future. We can't be in past. So the 100% awareness is most important. Because of the ignorance, there's preparations as world and me, I and near, I and visual, ear and sound, and etc. Because of these preparations, the cognition is manifesting. Because of these preparations, there's a cognition as a consciousness, as a cognizing. Because of the cognizing, that it is a chance to reflect name and forms, the external reflections and external things and the namings by our mind. That means cognition. Because of the name and form, because of the reflecting of name and form, then we got an idea there's an established duality. If I cognize or not, there is an established and independent I and visuals are existing. There is independent ear and sounds are existing, and actual mind and thoughts are existing, and so on. This is like that. If you first don't think I'm asking you to ignore the past and ignore the future and be in present moment. I'm not asking to ignore the past or future. Because why? You don't have any past or future to ignore. You don't have any past or future to avoid. Because why? You just have the present moment here and now. You think about past or future, that is a present sensation, present feeling. Because of this, and I'll tell you another example. Once you look at your face on a mirror, so after some time you go somewhere else, and that person that is thinking, oh, still I am in the mirror, still my visual is in the mirror. Like that way, your thinking pattern also like that. Now you are taking some experience. After that, you are thinking, if I experience or not, that is actually independently existing. But if you're not there, that will not be an experience to you. Like the mirror. If you're not in front of the mirror, your reflection will not be there. It is impossible. But we can think, we can conceive. If I were or not, if I were or not, was or not, um, those things are really existing. But it's just a thought. Only thing I have to tell is be in present moment with 100% awareness. So the last mentioned meditation trick will help you see all the objects as eye and visual, ear and sound, body and mind, and so on. Mind and thought, body and tangible. And the next most hard thing to understand is Nibbana. People can't understand this moment. The actual reality is the most peaceful thing is stilling of all preparations. relinquishment of all assets, or the body, sensations, perception, volitional activities, and cognitions. We took as our assets. Relinquishment of all those. The destruction of craving, detachment, cessation of concept of I am living in a world. If you don't have a concept of existence, there is no way to suffer. So I wish you to comprehend those things more and more and be aware in this present moment as how you can. And I bless you all to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this very life, how you can. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.